No console escapes its generation unscathed. Despite the glossy exterior, Blu-ray capability, and incredible exclusives available on the PlayStation 3, there have been reasons in these past 7 years to lament purchasing one. Sony has a great track record of owning up to their mistakes, but with their fanbase so immense and expectations always set so high, hearts are bound to break sometimes. Here are 5 ways we were disappointed with the PlayStation 3, 5 lessons Sony could potentially learn from in the rapidly approaching next generation. For some, the saddest thing about the PlayStation 3 was that they couldn't afford one. In 2006, a PS3 with a 60GB hard drive cost $600. A 20GB version cost $500, which was a full $100 more than an Xbox 360 with the same size drive. The Nintendo Wii, which launched a mere 2 days after the PS3, was half the price at $250. We were left with the infuriating choice of either paying too much for a PS3 or not having one at all. However Sony justifies it, it was a wildly inflated price tag, and its announcement was one of the lowest points in the console's lifecycle.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the final PlayStation 3 controller.
Although the DualShock controller wasn't released until 3 years after the original PlayStation launched, it has since become synonymous with the console. In a bold move prior to the launch of the PlayStation 3, Sony introduced the 6-axis, opting to remove the shock in favor of the growing trend of motion control. Certain PS3 games used motion in various ways, like throwing grenades in Uncharted. Other titles like Lair fared far worse, requiring the use of motion to navigate the game world with disastrous results. Rumble proved to be a far more popular feature, and due to widespread negativity, the 6-axis was quickly replaced with the DualShock 3 a year and a half later. PlayStation Home was announced in 2007, a time when people believed that Second Life was going to be the future of the internet. Today, Home functions. There's still a dedicated group of inhabitants lingering around, and Sony apparently makes a decent profit from them. It is what it is, but the reason Home is considered a disappointment is that it's never delivered on its original promises. It was supposed to be Game 3.0, a place to meet up with friends, show off your trophies, and jump into a rousing match of Warhawk. Instead, we got this janky junkyard, full of exclusively lonely humans. In addition to its handful of launch games, being able to play your entire collection of PlayStation 1 and 2 titles on a shiny new PlayStation 3 made a strong case to replace your PS2 spot in your entertainment center, as well as make the jump to the PlayStation family if you were a newcomer. But when Sony reconfigured the PS3 hardware and removed PS2 backwards compatibility to help cut the cost, it definitely felt like a step backwards. While the PS3 retained the ability to play PS1 discs, Sony has since been slowly adding downloadable PS2 titles on PSN, and the worthy amount of HD collections have definitely brought many must-have PS2 games to the PS3. But if you've ever had the urge to play any of the Onimusha games, get ready to dust off that PS2 in storage. There are 24 hours in a day, and there were 24 days in 2011 you couldn't get on PSN when the system was compromised, and 77 million accounts got their info snagged. Far more embarrassing than the infamous 2010 leap year lockout bug. This made the PlayStation Nation nervous and offline, hurting the recently released SOCOM and other online games, while publishers with digital releases on the ready saw a potential market dry up. In a world where uptime is measured by how many nines follow the decimal point after the 99, this was a black mark and an egregious shock, which Sony did recover from, but only at the cost of much honor and many dollars.
This isn't the first time that I've come to the stage at an E3 press conference with an elephant in the room. And of course, I'm referring to the PlayStation Network outage.
Now that you've heard GT's biggest disappointments of this generation, here's what really dismayed the community. Dudamus24 wasn't impressed with the PS Move. They could have done great things, and a few games made really good use of it, like Killzone 3 and Infamous 2, but there was just no support for it outside of first party. Koshka just wanted one game this generation, and unfortunately, never got it. Last Guardian, Last Guardian, Last Guardian, where the was Last Guardian? Continue the discussion on our Facebook and Twitter pages, as well as the comments below.